2-2 finish at Goodison Park tonight between Everton and Watford, thanks to Lucas Dina's late equaliser. So too the rest of the weekend's action, starting at the Emirates. Arsenal beating Huddersfield just by a single goal, but their unbeaten run goes on. It's 21 now in all competitions. Torreira gets the winning goal, Gary. How impressed have you been with him?
I've been massively impressed. I mean, just from an Arsenal perspective, to actually have the week they had picking up the 4 points out of United and the North London derby, then to draw at home to Huddersfield would have been devastating. This was a big goal late on, 83rd minute. Brilliant from Aubameyang. His touch is fantastic, bringing it down, keeping it alive. And Torreira, well, I watched him in the World Cup. I did the France-Uruguay game live. And I have to say that France got him... He's tenacious. First half an hour, 40 minutes, you thought he gets about the pitch, he's like a terrier. But then actually, as France started to get on top, he started to get dominated. And obviously, Uruguay got a little bit desperate. But the likes of Pogba in midfield, Matuidi, Griezmann dropping in, I just remember thinking he just couldn't get around the pitch. And it was like, you know, when Arsenal signed him, you just wondered, how would it be? But his impact upon that team, I think, is huge. I think it's the biggest impact, actually. If you think about the character that Arsenal have shown this season in terms of sort of the second-half performances, keeping going, the tempo sometimes at the setting games, I think someone like him leaves his teammates nowhere to go. So we've talked about Arsenal's sort of what would be approach to the games over the last 2 or 3 years, and sort of never that feeling that you felt as though it really mattered at times. You know, at times in big matches, they always disappointed. You felt as though there wasn't a leader out on the pitch in terms of to be able to look towards. If you look at him in that derby last week against Tottenham, if you look at him there getting forward into the box, it's almost like he's just like the sort of bundle of energy that everybody else in the team responds to. And I think sometimes it needed that. And I was expecting this Arsenal player over this last 3, 4, 5, 6 years that they've needed. You've always got this picture, haven't you, of Emmanuel Petit and Vieira in your mind, this sort of strong sort of presence in midfield. And he's sort of, if you like, diminutive, not very big, but then he's tenacious, he gets into the box, he scored 2 goals in the last week. He's actually good on the ball, he's tidy on the ball and takes the ball and shows courage. He's a massive upgrade on where they've been, but most of all, the impact he's having on the mentality is huge.
Try and make sense of these graphics for us then, Gary. Leading at half-time in the Premier League this season, well, you can see that only 2 teams haven't. One is Cardiff, the other is Arsenal, which is extraordinary, again, when we remind you that they've been unbeaten for the last 14 Premier League games.
He must adapt or change his second half, mustn't he?
Well, would you know it, they've made 14 changes before the second half, Jamie. More than any other side in the Premier League. The rest of the Big Six combined, 13. So is that a positive or a negative, Gary? You're trying to work this out, really.
Do you know something? The job that Unai Emery's doing, he's getting the maximum, absolutely the maximum out of this squad. There is no doubt about that. But actually, to pick up and transition so quickly from a long-time serving manager like Arsene Wenger, who will set a culture at everybody at that football club. You know, it's an old-fashioned style of management, really, where everybody in the football club will have hung off Arsene Wenger's every single word. So we had to come in and pick that up. Not just the players, by the way, the actual staff in the club, the chefs, the people who are in the sort of general office, everybody has got to get used to this new guy. So he's got to pick that up. And he's been made to work hard. It's not as if he's having it easy in matches. So every single game, he's got big decisions to make. He's having to work hard in terms of making substitutions. I think he'll be thinking that 2 or 3 transfer windows in 2 or 3 years' time, he won't want to be being as influential or as disruptive to the game as he's having to be. He's having to almost overmanage them at the moment. You know, having to make big shifts in the game. The North London derby, he changed system, he went 2 up top, took people off. And he's having to do that game in, game out. And you wonder how long he can keep on doing that before it starts to break and creak. Because it almost feels like he's managing them to the absolute maximum in every single minute of every single match. And they've got game after game as well. He does need to be supported in the transfer window to get that sort of squad exactly where he needs it to be. Then he won't have to make as many changes.